So this is Bean Label. I'm Liam, and this is Paul from Baltzersen.
Baltzersen. Yeah.
Okay, so
Impossible to say, impossible to spell, but good for SEO, I suppose. You know, the website name was free.
Yeah, there's no. You're not going to have a lot of competition on Google for ranking.
No.
Not in this country, anyway.
That's it.
So we're in Harrogate as well. So let's start from the top. Let's start. When did you set up Baltzersen's?
So we set up Baltzersen's. We opened on the 1st of October 2012. So my progression was, prior to doing this, I was in the army. I was an engineering officer. So I served 5 years in the army. Left the army in 2011, and then it took about 10 months in terms of getting hold of a lease and then making changes and opening the doors on the 1st of October.
What was this before? Was this a coffee shop before? Or?
No, this was a greetings card and party goods, balloons, that kind of store. So it was quite a lot of work. We basically stripped it back to brick, and we put in new electrics, plumbing, toilets, kitchens, everything from scratch.
That was a big job then.
Yeah, if you ask me would I do it again, probably not. You know, if I was looking for another site now, I'd be looking for an existing restaurant or cafe site.
How did you do it then? Did you do it? Or did you get some guys in?
Yeah, we had contractors that came in and did specific elements, like we put a new shop front on it. We did some interior. We did some structural work because it wasn't open all the way through.
Yeah.
So we had some subcontractors that did some building work and some ripping out, and we had to tank all the walls downstairs and stuff like that. And then the rest, we kind of did quite a bit ourselves. We had a few people, sort of like plasterers and joiners that helped us out, but yeah, we did a lot ourselves really. I think that's the story for a lot of people that open their own places. You do as much as you can yourself to try and keep the cost down, which is something we didn't really achieve here because there was just so much work to do, but we still did a lot of work.
Alright, so there's a lot of questions, so let's start with why did you start a coffee shop?
I don't necessarily always refer to Baltzersen's as a coffee shop. I'd probably call it the cafe, really, if I'm kind of referring to it.
Yeah.
Amongst friends and family. So I wanted to open.
Why is that actually?
Because I don't think actually as a business we're kind of. I wouldn't describe us as being like coffee led. Mm-hmm. I would say we're a kind of probably a food led business.
Yeah.
But we do focus on our coffee, and it's an important part of our offer, as is tea and various other things. But yeah, I guess because as well, when you're trying to think about the market that you're in and how you're going to differentiate yourself, coffee's not always the easiest thing to differentiate yourselves with. So we didn't try to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I refer to it as the cafe. And why did we open? Well, it's just an idea. It's just an idea that, because we're a Scandinavian themed, maybe don't like that word, but I guess we call ourselves a Scandinavian inspired cafe. So why is that? My grandma was Norwegian, and I grew up eating a lot of Norwegian food and things like waffles and some biscuits and baking and stuff that I used to have at her house. And, my dad lived in Norway for a couple of years after he left the army. Worked as a baker, so I've eaten a lot of that stuff in my life, and it wasn't kind of available to people. And I just always thought it would be a great idea. It's some of those things that we enjoyed as kids to offer that to people. So that's why I wanted to open the cafe, and I always knew coffee would be a huge part of that.
Because coffee's big in Scandinavia, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Nordic, sort of wider Nordic countries, when you look at all the stats of coffee drunk per capita, I think Finland's top. I think you've got Finland, Norway, Denmark, Sweden are 4 of the top 6 in terms of volume of coffee drunk per capita. So it's quite often well, it can be god awful and pretty old-fashioned filter coffee, but they do drink a lot of it. And actually, if you look at, they have an amazing heritage of specialty coffee. Actually, if you look at like the first, 6 people to win, the World Barista Championships, I think most of them are Scandinavian. So they have a really good heritage in terms of specialty coffee, but then just as nations, they just put a lot of coffee away. There's always a pot of coffee on.
Did you find that, because it was a new, well, like you said, there weren't many places where you could buy Norwegian food, was it difficult, was it like a challenge to introduce people?
Not really, because we wanted to offer something that was Scandinavian, but it's still our interpretation. It's still using ingredients from Yorkshire. It's still using a kind of, we still know that our market is people in Yorkshire. So we've always kind of made sure the food is still approachable, for people here. There's a lot of affinity with Scandinavia from around Yorkshire especially. A lot of Scandinavians live here. There's a lot of people that have a real interest in Scandinavia and visit very often. And the food it's not entirely dissimilar to a lot of food that we already have here. So it's not so big a thing. But there are some really nice products that are different, and we can have our little star products and stuff that other people. They could copy it, I suppose.
Like what?
I mean, for us, things that we're really well known for is our cinnamon buns, but then also waffles are a huge thing and a really really important part of what we do actually, because we're a very family-friendly cafe. If you look around, at any time here, there'll always be, there'll be some young kids, there'll be mums and dads, there'll be grandparents, there'll be people with dogs. We're a family-friendly place, and waffles are a great thing to kind of come and have together and share. And waffles are probably one of the things I remember most about my childhood in terms of eating. Those getting a waffle line out on a Sunday afternoon, and all the kids from the street coming into our kitchen and having waffles. It's something that it's probably one of the things that we always said. Doing waffles would be great.
And I didn't ask about Baltzersen. What's that? Does that translate?
It's my grandma's maiden
name.
Okay. So Baltzersen, my grandma would leave Baltzersen. So she married my granddad, so her name changed. But that's her name, and that's what our family back in Norway their name.
So you're saying off camera that you moved to Harrogate. You're originally from Stockholm. You moved to Harrogate. So tell me about that. Why the move?
Well, I mean, my wife's from Burley and Wharfdale, which is just outside Ilkley.
Right.
So this is kind of the area where her family are. And I was in the army, so actually, whilst I grew up in Stockport, I left at 16, went to kind of college, army college, and then university, and then in the army. So I haven't really lived there for sort of the last 13 years before we moved, and then we moved here. So, and we chose Harrogate because at the time when we were looking at the market, we thought there was room, we thought there was space for what we wanted to offer, really. And also one of the reasons that I left the army is because we'd recently got married, and we were looking to start a family. So, Harrogate's a lovely place to have a family and bring up children.
So, what's the independent scene like? What would you say the independent scene in Harrogate? Not just for coffee or cafes, but in general.
I think when we first opened a few years ago, it was still relatively quiet. You had Bean and Bud were the trailblazers, I guess, in Harrogate. They've been here for 5+ years now.
Right.
So Ruth and Hayden were already here doing their thing. And then we opened up, and then over the last probably two years or so, I'd say it's really accelerated. There's lots of new independent bars and restaurants, and a few extra coffee shops that have opened up. So I think when we first started, it was ready for something new, and now there is a real scene being created, and I think there's some stuff coming up over the next, during the rest of this year. There's a kind of festival planned in Valley Gardens, and there's more collaboration between places in town going on. And recently, the local paper has started picking up on the strength of independence in Harrogate, and as a town, it's important that we shout about that, because so many places are becoming a bit samey.
Well, they already have, like a lot of them. Towns, high streets and whatnot.
Yeah, so I think the independent scene in any place, towns or cities, is something that helps to define what that place is about. And it makes coming here more. You need to give people a reason to come here, right? Because otherwise they'll just stay in Leeds or York. And having we've got a Byron and a Coke, Cow and Yo Sushi opening probably this year when the new cinema opens. But realistically, no one from Leeds or York is going to come to Harrogate for that, because they've already got that. They're already there in York and Leeds. So if you want to attract new people to town, then a strong independent scene and character is something that can help do that.
But do you get a lot of tourists coming here? I'd imagine you get a big tourist town.
It's a beautiful town. It's a mixture. Yeah, we get some leisure tourists, but they tend to be probably slightly older guests that come on the leisure side, and then we get business tourism for the international centre. And that's it very much depends on what kind of event is on. If it's something like home and gift or knit and stitch, that's really great. They sort of flood the town, and can be quite a busy time. If it's kind of the Greenkeepers convention, or like an NHS conference like surgeons or something, they sort of very much stay around the convention centre. So maybe it doesn't quite make as big an impact as you might think.
Yeah. Alright, so you spoke about the challenges when you started, moving to a place that wasn't already serving food. What would you say are the biggest challenges for you now in terms of running the business, growing the business? What's the biggest thing?
I think you have to mention, competition is a thing. Since we opened, there's been there's so many more seats in town, and there's so many more restaurants, and even if we were saying, they're not quite as good, well, sometimes people just want something to eat or they want a drink, and if you've got a queue, they're just not going to wait. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter if your drink is 10% better or 20% better, whatever it is, that people just want a drink, so they will go to somewhere where there is a seat. So there's always competition, and there's always new places opening, so you have to kind of make sure you're keeping up and reinventing what you do, and giving people something new so that you can compete with that.
Do you think other independents competition, do customers, regular customers, do they stick to one place, or do they go to yours, go to Bill, go to Hoxton?
I think it depends on the customer. Nobody owns customers. People make the choice. And it does it bother me that people might go to all three of us? No, it's great. If people want, people won't always want the same thing. If I want a really nice espresso, I'll go and get one from. I'll go and get one from one of those guys if I want something different, because I know what they do and I know what we do. If I want a really kind of fruity espresso, I know that we don't serve it here. So I'll go and get them from Bean and Bud, or I'll go and get them from Hoxton, depending on what they've got on the bar. And I might go to 3 or 4 different independent pubs and bars. So no, there's no problem with that. But even though you don't necessarily view everybody as competition, the fact remains that there's so much business, and it's going to be split up between the places in town. So, you're still fighting. You are kind of fighting for the
You're
same
working on
amount
your
of
share
business.
of the. Someone's only going to come out to dinner on the Thursday night. but
Yeah.
lunch ones they can't go.
Yeah, they can't go everywhere. And you know, I think what we're starting to do in town now with the growth or with the independent scene coming together a bit more is what can we put on, what can we create that will bring people into town more often, whether that's regulars for lunch or whether it's people coming in for dinner or whether we can attract people from Leeds or York. And we're doing this, the restaurant side is doing a big event in Leeds next weekend, part of the Leeds Indie Food Festival, and that's all about, and we're taking some other independent people with us. We're taking Whittaker's Gin and we're taking the Champagne Concept, who are next door to us here, and Badco Brewing, who are brewing out of Dishford. We're taking them all with us because we're going to spread the word about what's good in Harrogate and what we're doing, in the hope that then some people will come back and visit us in the future.
Because you're stronger as a unit.
Yeah.
People aren't necessarily going to come from one place, I suppose. But they will if there's a scene.
And we'll definitely, if we're full, people can't get in, or they're walking out the door. As much as we can, we'll always say, "Oh, have you got somewhere in mind?" Because we'd much rather signpost them to Beanham Park, signpost them to Hoxton North, rather than they just nip round the corner and go to one of the chain options. So, there's still a lot of business in town, and as a group of independents, we'd rather steal it from the multiples, from the chains. But inevitably, we do, some of it will go in between us. It's just the way things go.
So what kind of coffee do you serve in terms of not necessarily brew methods, but where's the coffee from?
So for the last, I don't know, sometimes the years evade me. I think over a year now we've been serving our own blend from North Star roasters in Leeds. And so we worked with Holly and Crag. We came up with our blend, and we had a very clear idea of what we wanted that to be. So our customers enjoy kind of a more classic blend than perhaps other places would offer. So it's more of those classic coffee flavours, like caramel and chocolate, that kind of thing. It's an espresso that works really well with milk, and that's the vast majority of our drinks that we serve, so that makes sense for us. But then we also offer, since January we've been doing a kind of rotating single origin bulk brew filter coffee, and we get that from Maud, who are also in Leeds.
Right.
So we had to start with in El Salvador, and we've got a Brazil on the moment, and we're about to go back to El Salvador. And we're actually about to kind of rebrand that offer, because we call it Filter.
Yeah.
And Filter's got a bad rep
I was
in this
going to
country.
say, it undersells.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of probably rename it and call it Bulk Brew, because it is, it's a nice, it's a fairly delicate cup of
That's good,
It can be, we can serve it really fast. It's a really nice brew method, consistent. But filter has a bad rep in this country, so a lot of people, when you say, "Oh, well, we do a filter," will immediately say, "Actually, I'd rather just have an Americano." So, those are the two. And we've previously done AeroPress and used various single origins from all over Europe for that. We're not offering that at the moment, but it's something that we'll kind of bear in mind.
Why are you offering it now?
Because we are a little bit bigger than quite a lot of coffee shops.
Yeah.
So we sit 42. Most coffee shops, so independent coffee shops, tend to sit less than that. And it was a bit of an issue with service on the busy times.
Yeah,
on a busy Saturday, it's a busy operation. So to be kind of, and we haven't got a lot of space behind the bar, so to be kind of trying to do trying to do V60s or AeroPress, we could do it, but it kind of kinked. We put a bit of a kink in the way service was flowing, and it kind of had a knock-on effect for everybody else's drinks.
It takes a lot of time in between.
Yeah.
To make one drink.
Comparatively, between making a milk-based drink or making an AeroPress or a V60, So it's not something that customers were crying out for. And I guess we've sort of said, well, if people want that, then there are other places in town that they can get it, and that's fair enough.
So do you think that? So do you think that people primarily come here for food. Not to say the coffee isn't good, but is that the Norwegian thing is your thing, right?
Yeah, I think that, lots of people do come in for the coffee because not everybody likes those
Fruit.
kind of
Not everyone wants a fruity,
fruitier
floral,
or those kind of coffees,
Ethiopian type.
that kind of thing. So we get lots of people that come in. But we have lots of customers that probably never had anything other than a coffee with us. But we just didn't want to make that our main thing. We didn't want to try and differentiate ourselves with just that.
Yeah.
It's difficult because if we take the market as a whole, every single person in Harrogate, who really is truly deeply interested in coffee, I wouldn't like to put a number on it. I think you'd be optimistic to say 20% that were really kind of, were overly bothered about what origin the coffee was, and necessarily what brew method or what roaster or anything else. So actually, the vast majority of people just want a nice tasting cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And we do that. And we do it consistently, and we do it with a coffee that works really well in milk. If people want to be educated about coffee and try new coffees every week and all that kind of stuff, go and see Ruth and Hayden. That's what they do. Come back to us if you want a nice lunch, or
We should have good coffee as well.
yeah, if you want a nice kind of milk-based drink that has those kind of classic coffee flavours. But if you want to kind of take some coffees that are really kind of pushing it and really different, they're the experts. So no qualms in directing people down there.
Anything else you want to tell? Anything else you want to say about your place? Anything else you want to get out? Before we sign off.
I guess I would just say that I'm sure lots of places say they're not just about coffee, they say about the experience, but experience is a huge part of what people come here for as well. So, it's really nice coffee, really nice food, great service from the team that are working out front. They're friendly and know their jobs really well. They work in a busy place. They do an amazing job. Everything we make here is baked on site, so every single cake, everything is done by one of our team and it's done on site. And that all adds up. So we don't feel we need to be the best at it. I wouldn't necessarily say we have the best cakes. I wouldn't say we have the best food. I would say we have the best cinnamon buns. But all those come together, and I think we offer a really good rounded package. And little tweaks like having free water, still sparkling on tap, and having a rewards card where people they earn points against their purchases, and we also give them some special gifts and all this kind of thing. Like that all adds to it, and I think we're just really pleased that coming up for 4 years in town, we're still kind of thought of by a lot of people as one of the places to go when you visit town.
Nice one. Alright. Thanks for your time, Bob. Thanks for introducing us to Baltzersen.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue once you've got it.
It does once you've got it, you can get it going. So check it out. It's Bean Label and Baltzersen's. See you next time.